Hello everyone, it is me, Natasha Randolph, or you may know me as Psychic Medium Natasha, and today's video I wanted to go into depth on the process and what you should keep in mind when you are cutting toxic soul ties or cutting etheric cords, or known as cutting the cord. So this was a highly requested video. I do post weekly blog posts on my website for you guys, and I did briefly mention in the blog post some methods on how to cut etheric cords, but I didn't go into detail. So that's what this video is dedicated for we to get into the details and that process for you guys if you want to do it for yourself or learning how to go about that. So that being said, if you want to learn more about this, then hit that like button and keep watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my content. But that being said, let's just move right on into this. So I did prepare notes for this, so I am looking at my notes. I'm sorry if that's annoying, but I don't want to miss anything for you guys. I want you guys to feel equipped to be able to, if not do this yourself, at least feel confident moving forward to go about this. You know what I'm saying? So let's just move right into it. So the first thing is, what is etheric cords or soul ties? Okay, like I said, I did dedicate a blog post specifically for this, but just to explain it simply for this video, it's a connection or an attachment between you and a person, place, thing, object, even spirits, rarely, but sometimes. In this video, we're specifically talking about another person that you may not want a connection or attachment with. So that's what we're going to depth with today. And the first step when you're wanting to try to sever or cut the cord is, like, there is a process to this. So that's what I'm going to walk you guys through. Okay. So the first step for this is you want to be aware and to acknowledge the soul tie itself. And what do I mean by that? For me to break it down for you guys, you want to ask yourself some questions like, did we form this connection or attachment to each other intentionally? Like, we both sought after this and strived for this? Or was this a subconscious attachment that we have, or you may have had with this other person? Is this connection constructive, like good for you, serving you, or is this destructive? You know, one way to kind of tell about that is, do you feel really empowered when you're, connecting with this person? Do you feel like they kind of collaborate or add to you? Or do you feel like it's like really draining, even borderline manipulative, things like that? And then you also want to ask yourself, what type of connection is this soul tie or etheric cord? There's so many different names. There's three different ways you can categorize soul ties. It could be an intellectual connection, which is a mental connection. You guys run through the mind together. It could be a physical connection, which is sharing physical intimacy, which is very, especially when it's like an ex-lover typically. And then the other one is emotional connection. And this is far more common. It's when you have an emotional attachment to someone. And this could be good or bad, for soul ties. But that's why you have to ask yourself, what type of connection is this? Is this good or bad for me? And was this something intentionally or subconsciously? Because when you're trying to sever the soul tie, you need to know the specifics or the dynamic of, how did we form this connection? What's it based on? Like, you want to understand those. That's very, very important before you can even move forward. Okay. The next step, when you start to address, what type of connection this is, but that it is destructive. That's what we're talking about. Like, it's not for you. The next step is you want to cut off contact with this person. So you're literally not trying to speak to them no more. It's basically you not having any physical contact with them. You're not engaging with them, things like that, because that's going to help solidify the disconnect between you and this other person. So the next step, which is very popular when you think of the ex-lover, is yes, for a toxic soul tie, after you're done addressing the, the dynamic and the ins and outs of what the soul tie really is, the connection, and you do cut them out of your life, the next step is you want to discard any items that they gave you or any items that remind you of them, and this could be different ways you can go about it. Some people like to burn these objects, so like, that's like a way for them to like transmute that and get rid of it. Some people will simply just donate them, saying, this is a good, necklace or whatever. Maybe I'll give it to someone else who might appreciate it, or it's like clothing or something, that's far more easier to comprehend. You might simply just want to toss it. You're like, I'm done with this, just, get out of here. Or maybe you want to physically break it apart. That's very common for photos you would see like in the movies, stuff like that. But the typical thing is you don't want to have these objects, because it's like they're lingering, they're lingering, and that's a way for you to connect, because objects absolutely can hold and retain energy. Okay, and if you do want to cut the connection, you need to cut off everything that is to do of them in your life, including them themselves and anything that they gave of you or remind you of them. Okay, so after you're done, addressing the connection, cutting them off, discarding anything that they gave you or remind you of them, the next step is you do want to physically release any attachments that you have for the connection, and process it before you go on actually severing it. And this is very important, because I've seen people try to rush this or skip this step, and they'll like do a cord cutting, whatever, and then it was not fully successful because you did not process your own thoughts and feelings of the connection. Because let's say, for example, you came to me because you wanted me to cut a soul tie for you, like with Reiki or something. But you were still holding on to the pain of that relationship. So if you're death gripping that pain, that's almost like you anchoring that soul tie to you. And even if I try to cut it, if you're essentially holding on, it's not going to be successful, Okay? So what I mean by releasing your attachments, that's you basically processing, like your memories and thoughts and emotions that you had that is concerning this dynamic or the actual connection and relationship itself, the attachment. So it can kind of be like shadow work, as well as you doing the actual releases. And I'm going to go in depth about how you go about releasing, okay? So I believe that the best way to go about releasing is you doing all three type of releasing, which is the physical, emotional, and energetic release. So what I mean by physical release, this is about you physically like actually incorporating movement in some way to not only release and engage with your physical muscles and tissues, but you're also releasing not only the muscle tension, but also the energy or trauma or pain that may be stored within the actual tissues and muscles and ligaments within your body. So this can be like dancing, even shaking, tapping, stretching, yoga, running, pushing a wall. That was very helpful for me when I would have my anger episodes back in the day. You can even break objects as a way of physically releasing, so those are some examples of physical release. You can, of course, go on about it your own way, but those are just some examples. Emotional release is literally you allowing the emotion to move through you than it being internalized and stagnant. So this is literally about you crying. Maybe you need to scream. Maybe you need to allow yourself to get into rage to release that, so you're not holding and hindering and simmering that in. That could be you journaling to get this out of you, like to move the emotion. You could be singing, playing music, or even venting as a means of releasing the emotion out of you. And energetic release is just simply you trying to clear your energy. And there's different ways you can go about that, you know, like do what works best for you. But just for examples, like a smoke cleanse, maybe you want to use water, like rainwater or Florida water, or even the ocean, you know, to like cleanse yourself. Maybe you want to take like a herbal bath or a crystal bath or some like salt baths to cleanse your energy. Maybe you want to use like a cleansing spray, like, you know, all over yourself. That's like one of my favorites. You can use sound to clear your energy, like a singing bowl or a bell or tuning forks, you know, stuff like that. Or you can use crystals like selenite. Selenite I love to use to clear my energy. It's very high vibrational, and it's really great for getting the like energy debris off your surface layer of your aura. So it's very helpful. Okay, so when you're done, you know, being aware of the connection, addressing the dynamic and all of that, the ins and outs, cutting off contact, discarding all the items, and then you're done releasing, the next step is you want to ground yourself. You want to be fully present, you know, and here and in your body before you attempt to cut the cord, which is the next step. I'm going to go into detail on the different methods you can go about cutting the cord, okay? Because there's more than one way. So I'm just, you know, do what works right for you. But that's what we're going to talk about. So grounding is simply just you intentionally, you're wanting to connect with Mother Earth, so that you can release your, you know, icky, stagnant, lower vibrational energies to her as you're absorbing her wonderful energy. So it's like an energetic exchange, but you're also allowing yourself to be fully here and present in your body. And it's also a way for you to, you know, again, it's that exchange. So when you're done grounding and do all of that, now it's time to physically take the action to intentionally sever the connection, cut the cord, okay? So the first method I'm going to talk about is, you know, if you just kind of want someone else to do it for you, or you just, you know, like maybe you don't trust yourself or whatever it is, you can request like Reiki healing to, you know, for that Reiki practitioner or that Reiki master to go in and address your energy and sever cords. Now, typically, see, I am a certified Reiki practitioner, and see, when you do Reiki healing with me or anyone, they're typically, you know, scanning over your energy and addressing, you know, your overall energy. So you're not only getting your, you know, cords cut, you're also getting your energy cleared, you're getting aligned, and stuff like that. But I just want to include that that is one of the other methods that you can get your cords cut, is by requesting Reiki healing. And of course, you can also disclose to whoever is doing your Reiki, saying, hey, I feel that I'm ready to cut a certain tie with so-and-so, you know what I mean? So you can definitely disclose that, but that's one of the methods that you can go about it. Another way you can go about cutting etheric cords is calling on to spirit. I personally like to call on to Archangel Michael. I think he's very powerful to cut cords, or I can call on my spirit guide team to help me remove any attachments that's not serving my highest good. So when you do that method, when you're calling on spirit to, you know, cut the cord for you, personally, I like to go about it in a way of like, I like to basically cleanse my space, you know, like I like to create sacred space, like I like to cleanse and set my protections and, you know, like my protection barrier so that nothing can enter in, you know, all that stuff. So once my space is set, I basically would call on to, you know, either Archangel Michael or my spirit guide team, and I'll ask for their assistance to actual cut the connection for me. And it's basically just saying from my heart, my intention, or I can say like a prayer of what I want to do, and use your own wording, but it would basically be something along the lines of like for example, like, Archangel Michael, I ask of you to sever this connection between me and so-and-so, sever this connection, like cut the cord, dissolve and transmute this energy, seal my energy. You know, like, it's just, you're basically saying your intention, But make sure that when you're saying this, you're also stating like, you know, I'm fully ready to do this. Also, thank you. You know, like use your own wording, but that's basically along the lines of what you're doing. You're literally setting the intention of what you want to happen, and you're consenting for this, for them to intervene. That's very, very important. Okay, so beyond calling on to spirit or requesting on Reiki healing, you absolutely can also use black obsidian or black tourmaline to cut etheric cords with basically focused intention and visualization. So I actually have some black tourmaline on me currently, and this is what it looks like. And basically the way you go about this is I basically like to do like a scan over my body. I'm very sensitive. And basically, I would kind of close my eyes, and you could either do this in meditation or just, you know, like when you're very, very relaxed and again grounded. You want to scan over your body and feel where you believe this connection is between you and that other person. Some people can literally feel it as like, you know, like a heaviness, because, you know, typically when it's toxic or like not best serving you, it's like heavy, dense. Maybe you might feel physical tension in the muscles, but typically you can, like, if you say out loud to yourself, show me where this cord attachment is between me and so, and scan your body, and then allow your hands or allow your inner knowing to show you where that connection is. Typically, it's going to be connected to one of your energy centers or chakras. So that could be the palms, the soles of the feet, the 7 major, stuff like that. So just keep that in mind. Once you find the location of where it is, you want to focus on that spot and say your, you know, intention of, you know, like I cut this cord and blah, you know, like say your intention of what you're doing. And basically you would take that crystal and kind of like cut it in that fashion. Make sure you're kind of cutting it like away from you as an act of like removing the influence, if that makes sense. So that's one way you can go about it. And you would be kind of using visualization as well. Like you'd be focusing on where that spot attachment is, allowing yourself to see it in your mind's eye, this cord, and then you're cutting it energetically. Because energy goes where attention goes, okay? The next step, which was actually one of the ways I prefer to go about it in my early days, before I preferred doing energy work for it, is journaling. So this is what I recommend if you're doing the journal method for cutting cords, is that you would write this person's name like on the top of the paper. So for example, it could be like, you know, so-and-so, and then I label them, I don't know, narcissist. And then I write down, I would pour out all the memories and emotions and thoughts of like the connection, the dynamic, everything. I would try to pour as much as I could into the paper. And you could take your time with this as well. Like it just, you want to pour as much energy you can into the page. And then when you're done, like with all your papers of like from this person, you can take some banishing herbs, put it on there, either fold it away from you or like crumble it away from you, and you can throw it into a fire. And I like this method because it's a way for, like, I like to use fire because it's a way of like banishing and also like transmuting that energy, which is really good. So some examples of some banishing herbs you could use is like angelica, basil, black pepper, cedar, cumin, dragon's blood, garlic, hot pepper, any hot peppers really, mandrake, oak, onions, yes, pine, rosemary, rue, sage, salt, thistle, thorns, and yarrow. Okay, so you could add those and crumble it away or fold it and then like put it in the fire. And that was very healing for me, especially for releasing sexual trauma that I had attachments with. So that was very helpful. Okay, now the next method you can go about with cutting etheric cords or toxic soul ties is in meditation. And what you do is during the meditation, you would have the intention, you know, to cut the cord. You would sit with yourself and set your prayer of what you're doing and, you know, how you want to sever this and disconnect and dissolve and transmute those connections and not allowing them access into you. And once you feel like you or in meditation, you feel like you're ready to let go of this connection, you will kind of do a karate chop, I would say, motion to sever the connection. And some people have found this to be very powerful. It's just this one definitely takes a lot more focus. So if you are able to do this, because this could be very powerful, but I don't find that just anyone can just go into meditation to sever the cord. I feel like that's more of like an intermediate thing, at least for these days. But if you can do it, that's awesome. Just keep that in mind. You do have to have good focus, and you have to allow yourself to, feel ready to do this. Okay. Now, this is the popular one that people are always asking about, is the cord cutting spell. This is definitely more occult, pagan, witchcraft focused, and I am an eclectic witch, so I will go into detail how to do the cord cutting spell. So basically, this is where you're taking 2 candles. One is like the white, you have a white candle and a black candle, okay? And usually they're the long tapered ones, like the ones that stand up by themselves. And basically you would engrave your name in the white candle, your name and your birth date. And then on the black candle, which is the one that you want to banish the connection with, is the other person's name and their birth date possibly, or their nickname. Or you can even engrave just their initials, like whatever works for you. You can choose to anoint your candles with like a banishing oil and herbs. If you want to dress it with herbs, that's up to you. But when you're done with the candles, you would basically take some type of cord, and tie it around you, the candle, and tie it around the other candle. So you have these 2 candles, that's you and the other person. You have a cord literally physically on them, which is symbolic of the connection or the soul tie that you want to sever. And basically, some people prefer to put like a ring of salt or eggshells around their like plate, or like, around these candles, as a way of like kind of containing and protection, this energy of the spell, which is something I like to do. And basically, before you light the candles, you kind of put your hands over the candles, and you would say your intention or your prayer or chant. And I do have an example of what you could say for that for you guys, okay? And everything that I'm mentioning in this video, I will leave the details of all of this, the chants, the herbs, and all of that in the description box below. So if you can't keep up with what I'm saying, you can look into the description box of this video to get those notes that you can add for yourself in your practice, okay? And you're also more than welcome to comment down below, and I can answer your questions. But here is an example of what you could say when you're trying to pour your energy and intention into the candles before you light them to do this. So here's an example of what you could say if you have no idea what to say, okay? So it goes something like, I release you with a full heart. I take back all the energy that has been taken from me, and I take back the energy that I have given away. I return all of the energies that I still hold from you. I am free from the ties that bind us. May all cords be cut, transmuted, and dissolved. I revoke all access to my energy. I complete and seal this with focused intention and love, for our highest good and harm to none, so as it is. Now that's just an example of something I would say. You're more than welcome to make it your own or add to it or whatever, but that's just, again, an example, okay? So those are some ways you can go about cutting the cord, and use any of those methods I mentioned, for what feels right to you, whether that's Reiki or calling on to Archangel Michael or your spirit guide team, using black obsidian or black tourmaline with your focus, intention, and visualization to sever it yourself, or you want to do the journal method with, writing it all out, putting the banishing herbs and throwing it into the fire, or you're actually doing the meditation method. In meditation, you're doing the energy work with the karate chop, or you're actually doing the cord cutting spell with the actual candles. Whatever works, whatever you feel more drawn to, do what works right for you. You have the absolute right to sever yourself from anything that's not for you, okay? But I do want to talk about, what do you do after you actually cut the cord? Because people just, they cut the cord and like, okay, I'm done. And that's not necessarily true. I want to give you some things to keep in mind for you guys so that you are absolutely good from this, okay? So when you're done cutting the cord, I do recommend that you ground again so that you can physically be present and in your body, and also replenish yourself. That's what's very amazing about grounding, is that you're replenishing your energy with that energetic exchange. So I find that to be helpful when you're done cutting the cord so that you can replenish yourself. When you're done grounding, I do recommend also cleansing your energy. That way, you are clear. Like, it's always ideal. So if you have any remnants, of the connection, you're clearing that out of your vibration. Now, when you're done grounding and cleansing, I recommend you try to shield yourself, like basically having protection on you. And some examples for trying to protect your energy or aura shielding would be veiling, which is like covering your crown with like some type of like hat, or like head covering, like scarf, like head wrap type of thing. You could braid your hair as a means of like knot magic, or actually using knot magic as a means of protecting yourself. I would basically braid my hair, like in a basic strand, and braid it and go like, my aura is strong and shielded from all, but like, say my intention and all that. You could anoint yourself with, different oils that is for shielding or protection yourself. You could use crystals, which is what I like to do, which is why I have my black tourmaline on me. You could also make herbal sachets, which are basically like little fabric baggies that have like various herbs that are for protection, or you could also add charms in there, like, the evil eye and stuff like that. You could also use runes or sigils or any type of symbol that speaks to you for your own personal protection that you resonate with as a means of shielding. You could also visualize shields or filters as a means of protecting yourself. That's more advanced, but you're basically visualizing protection around you, whether that's a bubble or a reflective mirror, or whatever works for you. And then, of course, you can also ask your spirit guide team to also shield you and protect you as well. Okay, now here is what you want to keep in mind again when you're done cutting the cord. Ground, cleanse, shield. But when you're done with, getting yourself right, you want to make sure that you keep strong boundaries, okay? Because more than half of the time, like 80% of the time, 70% of the time, more than half, you're going to when you cut the cord, the other person's going to try to like see if they still have access to you. So they're going to be like, they're going to see like, are you really happy without me? Type of stuff. So just keep in mind that you want to keep strong boundaries, of like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to connect with you. I don't tolerate this. Keep your boundaries of what your values are and what you desire, what actually matters to you. Keep strong, okay? Because they might potentially test you, because a lot of people subconsciously can feel when the connection is severed, even if they're not actually aware of what happened. It's very much of an energetic thing, but just keep that in mind, okay? Keep strong boundaries. Now, here's the important part. You want to call back your power. You want to call off any protection, and you want to clear your soul contract when you're done cutting the cord. And I'm going to go into depth into all of these, okay? So when you're calling back your power, you're basically literally calling back your energy that this person may have taken from you so that it's yours again. You're claiming it again. So an example of how you would do this would be like a chant or a mantra, if you will. So here is my example. You can add to this or make it your own. This is just for an example for you guys who may not be aware of how to go about this. So when you're calling back your power, it would go something like this. I call back my power and energy from all corners, people, places, and situations that have been draining, siphoning, or stealing from me, intentionally or subconsciously, from all realms, worlds, and directions of time. I am safe, sovereign, and protected, so as it is. So that's an example of how to call back your energy. I honestly like to call back my energy on a daily basis anyway, but it's super important when you cut the cord, because when you're done severing that toxic connection, you want what is yours. You know what I'm saying? Now, here's the next step that people don't really talk about, but I find this to be very important, which is you want to call off the protection, okay? And I'm going to read what this sounds like, and you'll have a better idea of what I mean, okay? I call off the protection that I have knowingly or subconsciously placed over those who have willingly betrayed me. Okay? Because I find that a lot of you guys I connect with, you guys are usually like my intuitives, my mystics, and my healers. And I find that, sometimes subconsciously or sometimes we have intentionally went out our way to place protection on these messed up people. And when you're done like with their crap and you cut them out and all this stuff, you need to make sure that you revoke that, take it back, especially if it was subconsciously. So just keep that in mind. You want to call that off. No more, let them be exposed to spirit and take their crap. Okay. And the last step is you want to clear your energetic soul contract with them. Okay. And I'm gonna, I have an example on how you can go about this. So I'm just gonna read it to you so you guys have an idea of, like I said, you can either add to this or make it your own, whatever, but here's my example, okay? I am free from any negative energies that I have subconsciously or intentionally attracted through the world around me, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I revoke permission that I have given in the ethereal or physical realms that don't align with my highest path. I have divine protection from all negativity attempting to attach to my body and energy. Or you could just simply say something like, I thank you, I release you from our soul contract, and we've been through all that we had to do, and I release you. Whatever wording works best for you, okay? But that's what you want to keep in mind when you are, again, cutting these toxic cords. So just a brief overview, and I'll let you guys go. You want to be aware and acknowledge the soul tie. Did this form intentionally, subconsciously? Was this a constructive relationship or destructive? In this case, it would be bad. What type of connection was this? Were we built on a mental connection? Was this just physical? Was this an emotional attachment, good or bad? Then you got to cut off the contact. Goodbye for my life. Throw out all the items that they have, have given you personally, or you just, you look at it and it reminds you of them. You got to release your own stuff about the connection and attachment before you go about actually cutting the cord. Ground yourself and then cut the cord. Whether that's Reiki, archangels, or your spirit guide team, using black obsidian or black tourmaline with focus, intention, and visualization to cut that cord. Maybe you're gonna do the journal method where you're writing it all out, putting the banishing herbs and putting that crap in the fire to let it go. Maybe you want to do the meditation route where you're doing your prayer and doing the karate chop motion to sever the tie, with energy work. Maybe you want to do the cord cutting spell with the candles and the cord and physically, lighting the candles at the same time, letting it burn out. And then once it reaches that cord, it will sever. And you'll be surprised when you look at how the candles burn, because that will show you the dynamic of the relationship, especially if the candle's burning faster than one, that will show you who really is ready to let go. Whereas, keep that in mind, how the candle burns. That can give you some insight. And when you're done cutting the cord, whatever you are doing it, whatever method you choose, make sure afterwards you are grounding yourself, you cleanse your energy, you're protecting yourself, keep your strong boundaries. Do any shadow work that may be necessary so that you can feel good moving forward, so that you don't repeat this cycle by possibly attracting the same person with a different face. You know, you don't want to repeat the same cycle. So make sure you're doing your shadow work so that you can confront why this even happened, so that you can remove this and get out of this karmic cycle. Make sure that you're calling back your power, claim what is yours, call off your protections. They revoked that shit when they, you know, betrayed you or whatever. And clear the soul contract, make it official. So I hope this was very helpful for you guys. You're more than welcome to reach out to me, whether that's getting Reiki done to actually get the cord cut yourself, or maybe you just have questions for you doing this for yourself. You're more than welcome. So I hope you guys sever yourself from everything that's not serving your highest good. Thank you guys for watching, and blessed be.